US LLC became one of the most popular business entity to open for international business owners right now. And we have to thank the pricing, right? Without an agent, it will cost you about $500, and with an agent, about $3,000. However, right, I want to point on some major downside of having a US LLC, so you will be prepared when you have one yourself. Important, this video is not a legal advice. You have to consult with your local attorney. However, this is a perspective of a business coach who is in the trenches with the clients who have US LLCs, international bank accounts, and I can tell you exactly what's happening. First one, important thing about US LLCs. They are not a real offshore entity like a lot of YouTube experts will tell you, because an offshore entity will receive the money, right, and hold it in its entity, and it will be located outside of the main jurisdiction where, for example, you have a tax residency. And I would say the opposite is true for a US LLC, which you own as a non-resident, right? Solo member US LLC, which means you're a single member there, which in most cases, how this is set up. And according to the US regulator, your US LLC is what they call pass-through entity, which in a simple words means it's your personal income. I assume you already understand where it's going. It's going to the personal income tax. So for example, if you are a UK tax resident, when you receive $1 million on your US LLC, it will be considered your personal income, and you will have to pay the personal income tax in the UK. And this is a big difference from a real offshore company, let's say in Dubai or in Hong Kong, where an entity, a limited company, actually holds the money and it's not considered your personal income. So whoever tells you that US LLC has 0% income tax, then just keep in mind it's because they don't consider this income as the company's income. They put everything directly into your personal income from the US perspective. Second, important thing about US LLC related to your country of tax residency and your home country. You might think I will open US LLC and I can function within US jurisdiction. However, let's say you are from UK, your home country is UK, or you're from Italy and you do business with US LLC. You have clients in your home country in Italy, and guess what will happen? Italy's authorities will look at your company as if it is a local Italian company, or if you're from UK, if it's a limited company from UK, and they will not care that it's registered somewhere else, which means you will have to follow all the local rules, including reporting, right? So all those stories that your LLC will give you freedom will not be true if you're planning to do business with clients in your home country living in this home country. And by the way, that's what I do with my clients in the coaching. We clearly go through all the offshore structures that we currently have and that we need, and we have the full clarity so that everything is legally clear and ready for compliance without violating any law, of course, you have to consult with your tax attorney. I will give you the perspective, however, from the practical part of the business. Third, YouTube experts will tell you that you don't have to do bookkeeping for US LLC. That's super easy. You just submit one form a year and everything is tip-top. One form per year, of course. By the way, if you forget to send this simple form, it's a $25,000 fine right away. But then it doesn't mean that IRS will not come to you and just request for additional documents. And if you don't have those documents, right, then you might suddenly become a part of a criminal investigation of a tax fraud, especially if one of your freelancers in the United States hasn't submitted a tax declaration. So having a proper bookkeeping, meaning all the statements, all the invoices organized, everything clear, is still necessary for US LLC. Because if you don't have that, you will definitely have problems with IRS when they will come and ask for clarifications about your activity. And I'm not even telling you that you need it for the bank compliance. And to check the video on how to avoid getting your bank account frozen, I will leave it in the description down below. Now let's go to the fourth point. US LLC makes you exposed to all the US regulations. For example, you put on your website, yeah, it's a super good company LLC, and that's it. Now, all the federal laws and the laws of the states where you actually open the LLC, in most cases it will be Wyoming, will be applied to you, or at least you will be exposed to the people who are looking for easy targets. I will give you a real example. One of my clients, right, with the US company, just because they didn't have a function of increasing the font and the contrast on the website, which violated US law that is responsible for helping blind people visit the websites. So a lawyer who were looking for easy targets in the US targeted this company, and they had to pay $70,000 settlement because of not having the font increase function on the website. How do you like that? And point number 5, US tax nexus, what it's called, basically being considered a US taxpayer, even if they tell you, yeah, for US LLC you have 0 tax. The rules are extremely ambiguous, meaning if you have couple partners, clients, freelancers in the United States, IRS might still consider you as a US-based company who is doing business on the territory of the United States, meaning you will have to pay tax and 0% will not be applicable to you. Go to any US lawyer and ask, okay, what are the exact requirements to actually not being classified as a US-based company who's doing business in the US? And they will, of course, tell you, yeah, you shouldn't do business on the territory of the United States. Well, great. How about your end users are actually from United States, right? Today, it's pretty hard to avoid doing business with the United States, right? A lot of software is provided by United States companies, so there will be always a room for the IRS to tell you that actually you have to pay local US tax as well. So point number 6, if you are working in a high-risk industry, for example, adult content, there is a high chance of you dealing with high-risk partners, and some of the people, like for example creators, might not take all the responsibilities seriously, especially if those are US creators, and this can lead to you just being dragged into investigation because one of the partners from the US was not doing their job properly. They forgot to submit a proper report, or God forbid they tried to avoid tax in the US. Then you will be automatically included in this whole investigation, and this will become a big problem since you own a US entity. Which brings us to the hardest point, point number 7. If you are an owner of a US LLC and something goes wrong and you become a part of investigation, then United States of America, the most powerful country in the world, will be able to enforce it globally. So you can forget about international travels, international USD transfers, and they can even initiate an extradition, let's say from Thailand, where you're enjoying your life, to United States, in case you will have some criminal investigation related to your US LLC, even if you are not a US citizen. Important to mention that I am not against US LLC, but I just want you to know the whole picture and be aware of all the risks, because if you are aware, you can control it, and the one who is in control has the power. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Your Coach Glenn.